Look, I know you're embarrassed, but take that thing off. You can't blame it on him. It ain't his fault. What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from Project Ellsworth, and I am back with you today to give you my review of the 2002 film Halloween Resurrection. Now you're just being difficult. Halloween Resurrection was directed by Larry Brand and Sean Hood. It was directed by Rick Rosenthal, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Busta Rhymes, Bianca Kozlish, and Brad Loree as the Shape. Kozlish. Kozlish?
The home has been rigged up with several cameras, but for the most part, the audience will see only what you see. No one will be allowed to leave until the show is over. Let the dangertainment begin.
So our story begins with the old switcheroo. At the end of Halloween H2O, Laurie seemingly decapitated Michael Myers. But what she didn't know was when she busted his ass up pretty bad and threw him off of that balcony, he actually switched places with a paramedic by crushing his larynx and swapping their clothes and putting his mask on a paramedic and letting them haul him away in a body bag, thinking that they had Michael Myers. Guess it's a good thing he was your size. At which point, Laurie kind of blew a fuse and stole a gun, took Michael Myers off in a van, rolled down a cliff, got him pinned between a van and a tree branch, and chopped his head off with an axe. Unfortunately for everyone, Laurie didn't chop off Michael's head. She chopped off the head of that paramedic. So what you're telling me is that this paramedic woke up in the van inside of a body bag, unzipped the body bag, got out of the body bag, attacked Laurie Strode, rolled down a hill, got trapped between a van and a tree branch, was reaching for Laurie Strode. Okay, his larynx was crushed, he couldn't talk. But you're telling me that this whole time, this dude would not have pulled that mask off? I could see that. All right, so that happened. 3 years later, we find Laurie sitting in a bed in a psych ward, just drifting off into outer space. The nurses come in, they give her medication, they stick it in her mouth. I mean, it literally looks to the point where Laurie is basically in a coma with her eyes open. They give her meds. As soon as they walk out the door, Laurie snaps out of it, takes the pill out of her mouth, and hides it in the back of a doll with about 400 other pills that are in the back of this doll. Apparently, she's not so crazy. She's just hiding her medication. So she's not crazy? Whatever. So now Laurie goes over and she looks out the window. I get the impression this is something that she does quite often. So she's looking out the window, apparently waiting for Michael to show up. Well, today's the day. He's out there waiting for her, or looking for her. So now Michael does Michael Myers things. He kills the security guards and he enters the building. He approaches Laurie's room and walks directly through a closed and locked door. It splits open like the Red Sea. Parts like the Red Sea. Well, when he gets in there, Laurie is no longer sitting in that bed or looking out the window. She comes running up behind him and bashes him over the back of the head with a lamp. I don't know, they always leave corded, loose lamps in rooms with psychopaths. It's fine. So Laurie takes this opportunity to escape the room and she runs up on the roof. Michael chases her up on that roof where Laurie uses the old cowboy lasso on the ground, grab him by the ankle and lift him up in the air trick. You know Jason used that already, right? So then Laurie walks around from the side of the building where she's holding the controls to this noose that she has around his ankle. She uses it to bring Michael over and hang him off the side of the building. She picks up his knife and starts hacking away at the rope. But then she decides to stop doing that and check his mask to make sure it's really him this time. Big mistake. So of course the rope breaks. The rope breaks, Michael grabs the ledge, Laurie grabs Michael, and Michael stabs Laurie. Loree kisses him right on the face, or mask, and says, "I'll see you in hell." And he drops her, and Loree falls down into some bushes very slowly. Very slowly. And that is the end of the Laurie Strode storyline in this franchise. So far. Michael re-enters the building, and just before he leaves, he spots a dude off to the side wearing a clown mask, walks into the room, and just hands that guy his knife. Well, what the hell did you do that for? Out of character. And now it is time for Dangertainment. It is pretty stupid. We jump forward a year and we meet Freddie and Nora, portrayed by Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks.
Kiss my fat ass.
Yep, those guys. Those two have a company called Dangertainment, and their idea is to fill the old Myers house up with video cameras, surveillance cameras, whatever, and put kids in there and film them looking around in the Myers house for clues to what may have gone wrong with Michael Myers as a child. Sounds good. So what these two interweb geniuses plan to do is put 6 people in there. You have the horny guy, you have the really smart driven guy, you have the scary, gothy, tough guy, you have the girl who's too good for all of this, the girl who wants to become famous, and the girl who is scared and skeptical. I bet there's somebody else in that house too. And who do you think that is? So there are definitely some very obvious pros and cons in this movie, in my opinion anyway. One of the pros is Jamie Lee Curtis came back. I'm not real crazy about the way that they got rid of her, but she was in this movie, so they were able to put her face on the poster. They were able to put her image and her face in the advertisement for this movie, which drew a bit of a crowd. So that was not a bad thing. She did a good enough job in the movie. Another good thing that I thought was alright was the look of Michael Myers. I didn't hate it. I definitely didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. The thing that I would like to know is where he keeps coming up with all these really cool masks. That's something I would like to know. Another thing that I really didn't hate was the actual idea of Dangertainment. I think that they could have done something a little bit different, maybe. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I'm not a movie maker, but I just think that this idea was kind of silly. Why would they be looking into or looking for clues to what happened to Michael Myers when he was a child? And more importantly, why would those clues still be there? So that didn't really sit well with me. Another thing that I actually did like was the guy that Michael gave the knife to at the end of the Laurie Strode sequence at the beginning of the movie. When he gave him that knife, the guy was almost narrating or like providing stats for Michael Myers as Michael Myers walked away after he gave him that knife.
Killed his older sister October 31st, 1963. Killed 3 high school students October 31st, 1978.
I just thought that was pretty cool. Unfortunately, there are more cons than pros in this movie. Are you ready for this? Alright, right off the bat, that whole opening sequence with the paramedic not taking his mask off, that drove me completely nuts. I get where they're going with that, and I understand that they had to come up with some idea to make sure that Michael Myers survived H2O, and I know that Mustafa Akkad had it written that Michael Myers could never actually be killed, so I get it. I understand that you got to come up with something to make him survive this whole sequence, but to come up with the idea that this guy had his larynx crushed and Michael Myers put a mask on this guy, and he had all the time to do how did he even do all of that? And that the guy came out of a sleeping bag, didn't make a sound. Granted, his larynx is crushed, but he could make some sort of a sound. But more importantly, why would he attack Loree in that van? And why would he not take that mask off? So when you're down at the bottom of a hill being crushed between a van and a branch, and you're basically begging your life from a woman who's getting ready to swing an axe at you, you don't take off your mask? You would have took off your mask. Stupid. And then there's the whole sequence with Loree at the psych ward. I guess overall the sequence is alright, I guess, but I didn't like that they made Jamie Lee Curtis look terrible for her exit from the franchise. I didn't like that they made her not very smart, where she's getting ready to cut the rope to drop him off the side of a building, but she's got to take his mask off. That's just dumb. I don't like that at all. And then to have the rope break, of course it does, and for her to be stabbed and thrown off the side of the building, it almost felt like this is the most important character in this franchise, other than Michael Myers himself and possibly Dr. Loomis, and they just threw her away like garbage. I just didn't like that, and I don't even know. When you know the way that the whole main story of this movie plays out, it was not even necessary. It was almost as if they just decided, okay, once and for all, we just have to kill Laurie Strode and get her out of here. It felt very lazy. And now moving on, I was really not too crazy about Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks in this movie either. Busta Rhymes had a few moments where he was alright, but he had more moments where he was absolutely ridiculous. And it is very evident that this guy is not an actor. And as far as Tyra Banks goes, I just don't like her. I think she's over the top. I've seen her as her, and I really just don't care for her. And I really just wish that they weren't in this movie at all. All the stuff that Michael Myers has been throughout all these movies, shot and stabbed and fallen off of balconies and thrown off of just everything that this dude has been through, and he got taken out by Busta Rhymes with karate. And what was the last thing that Busta Rhymes said to Michael Myers? Trick or treat, mother. I hate it. Awful. And then there's the main set of characters, the 6 people that were supposed to be in this house while all this was going on. They're all just unlikable. Sincerely. The girl who wants to be famous is unlikable. The one guy who seems like to be the smart, driven guy, all he talks about throughout this whole thing is food and nutrition. Give me a break. The tough guy didn't seem so tough to me. He was supposed to be the tough guy. He seemed like kind of a punk. The girl who seemed to be above all this and too good for all this, didn't like her either. Then there's the scared guy, or the horny guy. He got offed pretty quick. I didn't like him either. He was one of the people from American Pie. He should have kept eating pie. Then there's the girl who was afraid and skeptical. That girl. She was alright. I can't complain too much about her. I guess she did a good enough job here. But whatever. As a whole, these characters were just simply unlikable. So was this movie the worst Halloween movie ever made throughout the 40-year history of the franchise? Maybe. Maybe not, but I'm going to lean towards maybe. But I know there are people out there who probably absolutely love this movie, but I'm just not one of them. There are good parts to this movie, but there are a lot more bad parts to this movie. When it first came out and I went and saw it, I think that I was so excited to see a Halloween movie again that I liked it. I sincerely did like it. I went out and bought a Resurrection shirt. I went out and bought a Resurrection mask. I loved the movie when it came out. And then the more I watched it, I kind of dug into it a little deeper. I thought more about it. And now that I just watched it again yesterday, I like it even less than I did before. I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks. This is 2 movies in a row. We have rappers in here battling Michael Myers. It really just got under my skin. And right off the bat, as soon as you saw Busta Rhymes in this movie, as soon as I saw Busta Rhymes in this movie yesterday, the movie almost immediately started to feel more like a Scream movie to me than it did a Halloween movie. Which makes it even more surprising to me that this movie was directed by Rick Rosenthal. So as much as I really hate to say it, this one just didn't work for me. But with that, and with me trying to always be a glass half full guy, when you get right down to it, it is a Halloween movie. They can't all be winners, dude. Nobody bats 1,000. So that's it. Those are my feelings on Halloween Resurrection. Leave me some comments down below and let me know how you feel about this movie. Do you feel the same way that I do, or do you actually consider this to be one of the better movies in the franchise? Very curious to what you think here. I'm going to get out of here. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you've been enjoying my content up to this point, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, have a kick-ass day, and thank you for watching. I love you, brother. Don't worry about it. You'll do better next time.